Ciao everyone, this is Nate on the Stone. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about New York State's new abortion laws and what they really do. But before we dive into all of that, just as a reminder that if you like videos about the culture, politics, and religion from a different POV, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to ring the bell for notifications. New York has a track record when it comes to abortion. In 1970, it was one of just a handful of states that legalized abortion before the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade legalized it across the country. And even after Roe v. Wade, New York's laws were always more liberal, progressive, regressive, barbaric, call them whatever you want. But now, even those liberal laws have been loosened with Governor Andrew Cuomo signing the new Reproductive Health Act. This new law makes several significant changes to New York's abortion laws. Most significantly, it allows a woman to abort her baby past the 24-week mark if the mother's life or health is in jeopardy. Now, this is a significant point. The old law only allowed a late-term abortion, an abortion past 24 weeks, if the mother's life was in danger. But now it's either her life or her health. And that might not seem like a very significant change, and it might not be, except for the fact that health is defined very vaguely and very loosely when it comes to abortion. In fact, another Supreme Court abortion case, Doe versus Bolton, described health like this. The medical judgment for a late-term abortion may be exercised in the light of all factors, physical, emotional, psychological, familial, and the woman's age, relevant to the well-being of the patient. All these factors may relate to health. There are literally dozens of scenarios that could be spun that would allow a woman to get a late-term abortion under this new law. Suppose, just as an example, that a woman's boyfriend leaves her when she's 29 weeks pregnant, and suffering from the emotional fallout of that, she decides that she can't have the baby as a reminder of her erstwhile lover. Presto! The new law allows her to get rid of that reminder. Or suppose that a woman is 25 weeks pregnant and decides, either on her own or from outside pressure, that she's not ready to become a mother, forgetting the fact that she became a mother as soon as the baby started developing in her womb, and that becoming a mom would not help her psychologically at the moment. Presto! The new law allows her to delay motherhood for the moment. And that's just the tip of the changes. The law also got rid of the requirement that only doctors could perform abortions. Now, any health provider licensed by the state can do them. The law also nullified crimes. Under the old law, if a man performed an abortion on a woman who was 24 weeks pregnant or over, and she died because of that procedure, that was first-degree manslaughter. If he performed an abortion on a woman at any time in her pregnancy, which resulted in her death, that was second-degree manslaughter. But now, those are no longer crimes. Which is kind of funny if you think about it, because abortion advocates have argued for the longest time that abortion has to stay legal because otherwise women will be forced to seek back alley abortions, which will result in more women dying from botched abortions. But now, a woman can literally die on the abortion table, and the abortion provider won't face any criminal prosecution. But these are just details. Now, don't get me wrong, details are important, but sometimes we lose the forest for the trees. Why is this a big deal? Well, because babies are being aborted without any pretense even given anymore that they're just a clump of cells, which is an Orwellian excuse for abortion if you think about it, because when you get right down to it, we're all just a clump of cells. But why is it a big deal that babies are being aborted? Because they're human lives. Well, why is that a big deal? That is the real question. That is the question that is at the center of the abortion debate. I want you to take a moment to stop and look around you wherever you are. Home, work, commuting, at the park, at the mall, at a bar, at the movies, with friends, I don't care. Stop, take a moment, and look around you. Look at the people that are surrounding you. Every single person that you see is more than what you think and more than what you see. The first thing that we have to remember is that every life we see is, forgive the religious language here, gang, but it's miraculous. Do you want to know why life is so special? Because it's all contingent, which is just a big fancy philosophical word meaning that it's not necessary for those things to exist. We can imagine a world without specific trees, specific animals, or even specific people, including ourselves. The fact that these things exist, the fact that the Big Bang happened at all, and that we inhabit a universe full of things instead of a void where there isn't even any time or space, that's extraordinary right off the bat. If that's all that there was to it, then there wouldn't be much of an argument. After all, we don't let that stop us from eating cows and chickens or from chopping down trees in order to make our homes. But that's just the start of the argument. Each person that you interact with, each person that you meet, each person that you see is an entire world in and of themselves. Think about it. The planet Earth is divided into the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, the cryosphere, the geosphere, and all of those things work together in order to preserve life on the planet. Take rain as an example. Water from the oceans, the hydrosphere, evaporate, it rises into the atmosphere, and it falls on the geosphere so that plants and animals can use it, the lithosphere. And the human body, the human person, is the same way. Cells form organs like hearts and kidneys, and entire systems like the skeletal system and the cardiovascular system, all of which have to work with clock-like precision in order to preserve our lives. And add to that each person, each of these new worlds that is just wandering around the planet is absolutely unique. Your DNA is a unique tapestry. It is a once-in-a-lifetime blending of the DNA of your dad and your mom. And it's a genetic signature that wasn't seen before your conception and which will never be seen after you die. Multiply that by 7 billion. That's how many unique worlds are walking around our planet right now. Every person in the world is also a dynamo of potential. There are no stars or constellations that lay out our future for us. There's no fortune teller who reads our palms and reveals our destiny for us. It's our freedom as well as our responsibility to find those out for ourselves, and in doing so, unleashing the potential that is within us. Frederick Douglass was born a slave. He had no education, no liberty, but his words and his imagination and his work helped end slavery in the U.S. Arthur C. Clarke was a science fiction writer whose ideas actually gave birth to the Clarke Belt, which is the ring of satellites that is encircling the world as we speak, and which makes things like Wi-Fi and cell phone reception even possible. The Wright brothers were ordinary guys from Ohio who invented motorized flight. Now, it's true that sometimes our potentials aren't grand, like those examples I just gave. My grandfather was an ordinary man. He was a farmer here in the American Midwest. But he mined his potential to its limit. He raised a family, supported them from the soil, and he served the local rural community, serving on boards and commissions so that everyone looked up to him. People came to him because they knew when he said something, not only was it true, it was going to get done. He was, forgive the expression and the cliche, but he was in a very real sense a pillar of the community because he was where he was and he tapped into every ounce of potential that he had. And that is just as vital and necessary as inventing the airplane. And that is the encouraging thought. Every person conceived in a woman's womb has this potential, this unwritten story inside of them that will allow them to leave their mark on the world, to make the world a little better than before they were born, either in grand ways or in humble but just as necessary ways. Everyone in the world is literally like a flame who can bring light and warmth to their part of the world and to everyone around them. Killing them before they've even had a chance to mine that potential, refusing to give them a chance to do so, is like... Finally, no person is an island. Now, we've probably have all heard this before, especially when our parents needed to encourage us to break out of our shells and go out and make friends. Hello, past me. But I mean it a little differently here. Take a moment and think about all the people you meet and all the interactions you have just in one day of your life. At home, commuting, at work, hanging out at the local mall, going to the movies, going to a bar, or just taking a trip. And now multiply that by 364 one day. That is thousands of lives that our lives interconnect with. And think now of all the potential that those interconnections can have, whether it's smiling at the cashier, at the food court at the local mall, or saying thank you and giving a tip to the pizza delivery guy, or whether it's the word of encouragement that we give to a friend after he's had a rotten day, or the help that we give to a coworker or to a customer when we're on the clock. And now flip that around and think about all the lives that touch your life, whether that's your parents' lives, your siblings' lives, your friends' lives, or think about this, whether it is the teacher who got you interested in science, or the author of that favorite book you had when you were a kid that lit up your childhood, or the violinist that you saw on TV that made you just ache to want to play a musical instrument, or the professor whose lecture that you saw on YouTube made you see the world in a completely new way. Remember that scene from It's a Wonderful Life?
Your brother, Harry Bailey, broke through the ice and was drowned at the age of 9.
That's a lie. Harry Bailey went to war. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor. He saved the lives of every man on that transport.
Every man on that transport died. Harry wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry.
That's what our lives are. It's a network of people. It's a spider web made out of the interconnections our lives make with others and other lives make with our life. And what does abortion do? It snuffs out all of those non-necessary lives that nonetheless came into existence. It silences those dynamos before they've had a chance to run and plot their own destinies and write their own stories. And it destroys the potential connection between people. It destroys the web of connectivity of mankind. Since 1973, when Roe v. Wade was legalized, over 60 million children in America alone, gang, have been aborted. Now, whether they would have changed the world or not, and we'd be living in a utopia if they existed, that's not the point. The point is that those lives are lost forever, and that the world is poorer because they are lost. We're poorer because those lives are lost. But what say you? Does abortion make the world a poorer place? And does the Reproductive Health Act accelerate that rush to poverty? Or does the act, and abortion in general, does it protect women's lives and health and autonomy? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Well, that about wraps everything up for this week, gang. As always, if you liked the video, whether you agree with me or not, don't forget to give the video a like. Each one helps me, guys. Honestly, it does. And think about subscribing to the channel and ringing the bell for notifications so that you will always know when I post new videos just like this one every Tuesday. Videos that you aren't going to want to miss. Thank you as always for watching, for giving me a little bit of your time, and I will see you all again here next week on Top of the Stone. Ciao.